Next, and certainly not least, is Andrew Yang. Andrew Yang was a former CEO of the test prep company Manhattan Prep. He was the founder and CEO of a nonprofit called Venture for America. And last year, he was a candidate in the 2020 Democratic presidential primary elections. Mr. Yang, you have the floor.
Thank you, Jamila. It's a pleasure and privilege to address you all. When I think of your union, I think of the folks who look after my son Damien every day. He's a public school student. And those of you who are parents know the feeling of dropping your child off at school, leaving him in the care of folks who are going to be looking after him, making sure the school is safe and clean. That is what you all do every day. And I am profoundly grateful. You all are very nervous right now because you know we're facing an historic crisis. You're looking around saying, are we going to get through this with the same number of opportunities, with the same level of benefits and compensation? I'm going to present to you that there are three major variables that will determine the answers to what your paths forward look like. Number one is how much aid we get from the federal government. And I am going to make a more effective champion for New York City than others because I'm friends with a lot of folks in the administration. I have dozens of friends on Capitol Hill, and I will make the case loud and clear that New York City has been giving more than it's been getting for years, and there is no national recovery without New York. The second thing is, how quickly are we going to come back from this crisis? We're all frustrated by the vaccine rollout. Many of you are essential workers, and you know you should have already gotten the vaccine, but you have not. We need to get the vaccine rollout right. But then after that, we need to give people the confidence to be able to come together in their place of work or school or even restaurants and bars by having a very quick and easy way to verify that you've been vaccinated. It is that kind of app on our phone that is going to enable this city to come back and avoid the worst of this crisis. We need to accelerate the recovery. And the third thing is, how are we going to balance this budget? Because we should not have any illusions. We're going to be facing a budgetary shortfall for years. I have run a small business in New York City, and I know how to get into the guts of an operation and make sure that we can get the money without looking at the people. People are not costs. People are the point. That is how we have to balance the budget. We have to find the inefficiencies that do not touch our people, your compensation, the benefits you've bargained hard for.
Next question we have is from Francis from Local 371. And this question is for Eric Adams. Do you think that New York City should take ownership of the subway system?
No. If we don't have the dollars attached to it, it's the wrong thing to do, in my opinion.
Thank you. Will anyone else like to chime in on this?
I thought that was a high five.
I would just like to say I agree with Eric that we need the dollars, but we also need the MTA. The fact is, it's very, very hard to manage our recovery if you don't have control over the way that people get to work and school every day. And it's hard to integrate subways, buses, and other means of getting to work if they're out of your hands. So I've looked at the numbers. It's not pretty. But the reality is it's very, very hard to manage a recovery if you're not managing the way 5.5 million New Yorkers get around every single day. And that includes the subways. It's a very, very big bite, but it's hard to get the city back on its feet if the biggest artery is not in your control.
We're going to move on to the next question. It's for Ms. Garcia. I got to keep us moving, guys.
It's fine, Jamila. It's all right.
It's for Ms. Garcia. Thank you, Scott. Andrew, you're on mute.
Sorry, it's been a little bit. I agree with so much that has been said today. And I think most people agree that we are overinvesting in not just the $6 billion plus in the NYPD, but as Ray mentioned, we're spending hundreds of millions of dollars settling lawsuits that are filed against the NYPD every year. And just imagine all of the uses of $200 million plus a year that would be in our schools for our essential workers that's instead going to settle lawsuits. I think everyone agrees that we're underinvesting in so many of our communities that are struggling with substance abuse issues and mental health issues, and that every bit we invest there is going to pay off on multiple fronts. We do need to acknowledge that if you talk to New York City residents, including so many of the people that are on this call tonight, when you ask what your top concerns are, rising crime and public safety issues are either 1, 2, or 3. So we need to take an all hands on deck approach to these issues. And like Scott said, the rate of crimes being solved is unfortunately going down as the rate of crimes are going up. So when we talk about holding police accountable, it's not just for civil rights abuses. It's about solving the crimes that are plaguing our communities at higher levels and are, again, one of the top 3 concerns that people have. We have to be able to do 2 big things at once: improve the efficacy of the policing to solve the violent crimes in our communities and also enact a culture change. And I agree with Eric that what it takes is a civilian commissioner. I'm not sure if you meant civilian when you said woman commissioner, Eric. I agree with so many of the things that are being said here tonight, because I think all of us do. There are so many great candidates here with phenomenal ideas. We need to get everyone together to get the city back on its feet. I admire everyone who's running because you're all running for the right reasons, and I'm looking forward to working with all of you.
This question is actually for Andrew Yang. As a New Yorker and city worker and someone who has applied for affordable housing, it has been my experience, along with others, that affordable is not affordable. There are people who have moved into our area with larger incomes. And so when the area median is counted, we are financially excluded. What can be done to equalize the opportunity of real affordable housing?
Thank you for this question. I agree with Sean that affordable housing is key. It's driving a lot of the other issues in New York. And right now, everyone is for affordable housing in the abstract. But when someone says, hey, we're going to build affordable housing in your community, then people are less excited about it. And this question is right on in that right now, the guidelines around affordable housing are tied to regional median income, which in some cases is way higher than one would consider affordable in a genuine sense. So the question is, what can we do about this now? And this is one of the only silver linings of this pandemic. Really, there is not much of a silver lining, but one of the opportunities is that there's a chance for us to reconceive many of the hotels that right now are going empty, and potentially even over time, some of the commercial real estate. I heard just the other day that a hotel operator turned their keys in for their hotel because it's completely empty. They looked around and said, I've had it, and they just gave it to the lender. And now the lender's holding the hotel. The question is, how many of these hotel operators could actually be convinced to turn the keys into the city if the city were to want to assume some of the debt management? And then we could very, very quickly convert some of these hotels that right now are 80 to 90% unoccupied into affordable housing and supportive housing opportunities. Right now, the city is spending sometimes hundreds of dollars a night per room for some of these same hotels, which is inefficient. It's not sustainable. So this is one of the great opportunities. And then longer term, you're looking at commercial real estate, because the reality is right now, 82% of commercial real estate in Midtown is unoccupied. A lot of organizations are rethinking the way they're going to be setting up their offices. A lot of the commercial landlords are very reluctant to consider this kind of adjustment because they're waiting for the market to snap back. But they are going to find themselves in similar circumstances as that hotel operator over time. So this hopefully will allow us to repurpose some of the existing physical infrastructure of New York City to create genuine affordable housing in a way that's going to be fast and efficient. It's one of the great opportunities of this time.
Everybody will have 1 minute just to give closing remarks. We'll do it in reverse order this time, spice things up a little bit. So Andrew Yang, you'll go first.
Reverse alphabetical order, my favorite. Thank you, Jamila. Thank you all for everything you do. This is such a hard and tragic time for our city, and you all have been the people that have gotten us through it, and in some cases at great personal risk. This is going to be a tough time. We have to know that. I'm running for mayor because I believe I can get us through this crisis in 3 ways. Number one, I can activate higher levels of resources, either from the federal government or the corporate sector or philanthropy, to try and augment the level of resources that we have to solve the problems that we see. And number two, I believe I can accelerate our path to recovery. I can instill the confidence in some of these 60 million missing tourists and all of the people that right now are trying to figure out whether we're going to reopen our schools or our places of work. I can speed up that process. And number three, I'm going to wring the budget of everything that is not people to try and balance the budget in a way that does not affect you and yours. And I say this as someone who puts his children into your care every day. I'm going to drop my child off at that school, and I'm going to know that the people in there are there to look after them and that their livelihoods are secure.
Put the money in our hands. 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 Can we afford it? Yes. Will it cause inflation? No. Is it awesome? Yes. Is anyone trying to make it happen? Yeah, that guy.